Hi, I'm Amanda Ethington, and I am enjoying COMM 250, and I enjoyed learning about organizational culture. And so that is the topic I chose to dive into this midterm. So how to define culture in organizations, and I'm going to dig into the corporate world because I would like to end up in human resources, and so studying organizations is very helpful with such things. So, typical values of a culture, not diving into corporate just yet. I'm going to use examples of the church. And so, cultures usually have shared values, rites and rituals, group norms, language, and heroes. So, in regards of the church, we would have a belief in God, that we're all God's children and we're striving to be like Him. That's kind of a shared value. For rites and rituals, they're kind of things that culture celebrates and accomplishments that they go for. And so in the church, it's getting baptized, going to the temple, and mission married. And then group norms are usually things that aren't really spoken about, but are normal things like how we avoid alcohol and tattoos. Not saying that no member does it, but it's kind of a normal thing not to do it. We have some language words that I know, or vocabulary, that people don't always understand, like the word atonement and covenants. It's big words that, unless you know or explain, it's some things people don't necessarily know. And for heroes, we tend to idolize the leaders of the church or Joseph Smith. We don't bow down to them, but we see them as heroes and bring back the church and sustain it. Okay. So I'm going to dig into the corporate world. It is said that it could be defined as a company's personality. They are very shaped by the leaders of the company. Some leaders can show their behavior of how they want to do it, and then if they want that behavior to be known in the company, they will reinforce it with promotions and things like that. And each company has certain ways of things to get done, so it's kind of like their rituals. When they have certain ways to achieve things, then it eliminates anxiety in the company. Sometimes their culture is shown in their design in the workplace, where their layout of the office space or their pictures on the wall, trying to push on the culture that they are striving for, or they have already. They tend to hold on to important events. So, like the founding of the company is a story that probably most employers know, or even customers know, because it's something they uphold, or a big move that they did. And then they tend to have a statement for what they're going for. So a mission statement or creed, things that help get their culture out there. So positives for company culture. When company culture is good, they have a higher job retention, employee loyalty is developed, and more likely to succeed and prosper as a company. All good things. Sorry, this doesn't want to turn sometimes. Okay. Examples of good companies with good culture are Microsoft, Google, Zoom, Costco, Weave, and HighSpot. I looked at Forbes, and they told me the top 50 for big and smaller companies with good culture, and Microsoft was number 1 for the biggest one. But I've heard lots of good things about Google, and they strive to please their employees. So negatives for company culture. So it's kind of hard to believe that there are negatives, but if a culture isn't set up right, it's not going to do well. And so some cons. So organizers and leaders can be on different pages, so that can bring conflicting culture views and subcultures, and confusing for the employees. And unintended culture can be created if the leadership is more harsh. It could just be a strict, no fun company. That can be a culture that they didn't really mean to do, but it just happened. And cultures can be difficult once they're established. It's kind of a work in progress to change the ways that things get done. Cons: this leads to high turnover rates, general unhappiness, and a toxic workplace. So here's some companies with bad culture. I saw this website on online. I think it was, let me see. I wrote it down in my notes. Huffington Post in 2016 shared that these companies weren't the best. They listed off 10 companies, and as a customer, I can kind of say I'm not too surprised. I'm not really a big fan of shopping at Kmart, and that was pretty high on their list of 10. And so there are companies that just don't have the right culture that sustain fun and happy employment. So I have this video here I'd like to share.
Culture is one of those things that it's really hard to define, but I like to think of corporate culture as the side effect of working for your organization. I'm sure you have experienced this, as have I, as have many people in the world. You're watching a show on TV, and during the show, a commercial comes on for a prescription drug. And the side effects for this prescription drug tend to include things like weight gain, hair loss, skin discoloration, nausea, bleeding from the eyes, and in some cases death. Basically, these horrific side effects that you would feel and experience if you took this prescription drug. And I don't know about you, but I see those types of commercials, and I'm wondering who in their right mind is going to take this kind of a prescription drug where the side effects are so horrific. And if you think about it, many of us work for organizations that have the exact same side effects still. Many of us work for companies where, due to prolonged exposure, we experience weight gain and hair loss and stress and arguments with our spouse and bleeding from the eyes and in some cases death. And one of the things that I like to ask executives when I meet with them one-on-one, confidentially when nobody else is around, if I were to bottle up what it was like to work in your organization into a pill form and give that pill to you right now, would you swallow that pill? And almost every single executive that I ask that question to tells me no. So how is it that we as executives and as leaders in organizations are wanting others to swallow the pill of our organization when we ourselves are not willing to swallow that same pill? So as managers, as leaders of organizations, you have to be the very first ones who are willing to take and swallow that pill. And if you're not, you need to ask yourself, why not? And what can you do to create that organization where you yourself will be willing to swallow that pill? So let me ask you, if I were to bottle up what it was like to work in your organization and give you a pill right now, would you swallow that pill?
That's Jacob Morgan. He's what I got from him was a public speaker, but I liked the way he put the culture. Is this a thing that you'd really want to partake of? And so Sorry.
one of those things that is
I need to stop touching the button. Okay, sorry. It doesn't want to turn pages for me today. So, how company culture and human resources go together. HR can help reinforce the culture the business has. If it's going well, they can help push it along. HR can also change the culture if they witness some things that shouldn't be changed. A lot of people don't try to question what the founders started as, because they figured if the founder started it like that, then it's the only way to do it because they've been successful. But that's not always the case. Sometimes things need to be changed and evolved. They can work on hiring the right people that are going to uplift that culture, and they are going to create a they can create reward programs to help enforce the culture. And they can help create clear messages of what this culture that they're striving for or have means. A lot of culture, as I was reading, is a lot of assumptions, but when stated clearly, then it's easier for the employee to understand. And here are some of my references. I enjoyed working on this project, and thank you for listening to my presentation.